Welcome back, everyone, to more from the Stabilize. I'm here today with Jordan. How are we doing, Jordan?
Not too bad, thank you.
That is good, and we're back after a short weekend break to take a look at a deck that we were pretty confident was going to do well in Brazil, and that is ADP. Now, the list that we're looking at today is Giovanni Paragallo's list. It was third place in Sao Paulo. And yeah, this is kind of the direction that this list is taken. We tested out a lot of ends resolve based lists, but I think this is the way that this deck's going to go in the future.
Yeah, there's obviously like the two main builds that I'd say we're seeing play. There's the ends and the non-ends builds, and I personally have never been a huge fan of N, even though I thought for a little while that it might have been required in our early testing. It seemed like it was going to be the way to go, but now that we've kind of been proven wrong that some of these lists that aren't playing N have a lot of chances to be competitive, this is definitely my favorite version of ADP right now.
Yeah, it seems really strong. We'll give you the quick rundown. It obviously revolves around Arceus, Dialga and Palkia. Has 280 HP, 3 retreat, ultimate ray for a water, a metal, and a colorless does 150, and then you search your deck for 3 energy and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. That attack itself is really, really strong, but when you combine it with Altered Creation GX, which requires a metal and an extra water, that can increase the amount of damage that you do by 30, and then also gives you the chance to take an extra prize for every knockout that you take. So now you're doing 180 with Ultimate Ray, taking 3 prizes on GXs and 4 prizes on those big tag teams, as well as 2 prizes on little 1-prize attackers like Giratina. It's a really, really strong attacker. I'm not surprised to see it do so well so early on.
Yeah, I think there's no surprise to anyone now that this card is very good and is going to continue to be good. That's not really a question anymore. It's more a fact. And I guess the bigger question is, why would we only play a 2 count in a deck like this, where you'd think it's a really important card to have a high count of, but we do have other Pokemon that we want to open with. It's not the best opener in this deck, and you only really need to use one each game anyway, so you just got to hope that you don't prize both of them, and you should be fine most of the time.
Yeah, exactly. Our best opener is probably going to be our Jirachi. We run 4 of that particular card in our list. Sets us up with our consistency. We've also got 2 copies of Dedenne. We don't want to start this, but in conjunction with Jirachi and our 1-1 line of Zeb Striker, this is going to be our consistency engine to try and draw the cards that we need. We also have things like Tag Call in order to be able to search out our 2 copies of ADP. We can also search out 2 tech attackers in this deck with that particular card. We've got 1 copy of Mega Lopunny and Jigglypuff, which is a really, really strong card in lots of matchups. And we also get to search out 1 copy of Lucario and Melmetal Tag Team GX, which is a card that we started testing real late in the game, Jordan, but it's actually really, really strong.
Yeah, it's a card that definitely seems to be creeping into more and more ADP lists as the list starts to become more developed. It's really just a whole bunch of really cool cards you can play in this deck, and this list isn't even featuring all of them, but Lucario Melmetal giving you pretty close to an auto win against most Guardian players, as long as you're able to not prize it and set it up pretty quickly. You should be able to beat Guardian most of the time, and moving into Brazil, I think a lot of players who weren't testing this Lucario Melmetal were probably going to say that Guardian was pretty much ADP's worst matchup, so if you can just play a 1-card tech to turn that matchup from bad to really favorable, it's super strong. And
Yeah.
Mega Lopunny is basically the same thing except for Mewtwo instead of Guardian. It's not quite as game-breaking as the Lucario Melmetal is. Mewtwo can still beat you if you've got the Mega Lopunny and Jigglypuff, but it's definitely a pretty good swing if you can get it at the right time.
Yeah, it certainly is. Jumping Balloon with that ability to take extra prizes can come in lots of situations that's going to be handy in, and also comes up against things like Abilities Art as well. They're playing down multiple Dedenne, then you can lop down this Mega Lopunny Jigglypuff and just take a big knockout. We also have, as our final attacker, 2 copies of Keldeo GX. This is obviously the direction that most people went when they were building these lists. Pure Heart means it can't be attacked or damaged by any GX Pokemon. Sonic Edge goes through abilities, and when you're doing a 30 extra damage, you're doing 140, which is a good number to hit. Resolute Blade doesn't come up because you want to use ADP's GX attack, but Keldeo really, really strong. And with the suite of attackers the deck has, there's really nothing that this deck doesn't want to go up against.
Yeah, this Keldeo specifically is one of the main reasons I think that ADP is such a strong card in this format. It obviously gives you a super strong matchup against some of those GX heavy decks like The Mewtwo and Mew obviously is a deck that really struggles to deal with multiple Keldeos if they don't have access to the right techs. And just in general, Keldeo seems like it has the most synergy with ADP out of any other card, besides the fact they share the same energy cost. Sonic Edge going from 110 to 140 is perfect numbers for changing Keldeo from 3 hitting to 2 hitting almost everything in the format. And more importantly, in my opinion, the fact that Sonic Edge goes for all effects on your opponent's Pokemon means you don't have to worry about anything walling you, where typically something like a Keldeo from your opponent or a Tag Purge, for example, would typically be a really bad thing for this deck, but we can get around that really easily now.
We certainly can. If we do find ourselves in that horrible situation where we do need to get around a Keldeo, we also have an opportunity to utilize the non-GX Drampa, which came out from Cosmic Eclipse. Has 120 HP and 1 retreat, so it's not a horrible start, but the main reason we want to have it is for Dragon Arcana. It does 70 plus 70 if this Pokemon has 2 or more different types of energy attached. Now, we're going to have water and metal attached to Drampa, which means it's going to do 140, plus the extra 30 means we're going to get up to 170. We can use this to take out a Keldeo, take 3 prizes, and then give ourselves an opportunity to win a game where maybe we wouldn't have been able to win before.
Yeah, this is a really, really cool card in this deck, and as you said already, it is mainly in here for the Mirror Match as a card to deal with your opponent's Keldeo, because none of your other GX Pokemon can deal with it besides your own Keldeo, and unfortunately Keldeo is just shy of knocking itself out by 30 damage. There's no choice band in the standard format, so Drampa acts as that extra buff in the Mirror Match to help knock out your opponent's Keldeos, and just in general, I really like Drampa just as a 1-prize attacker in this deck, which besides the Drampa, it doesn't have access to any 1-prizes, and you can really try and screw over your opponent's prize trade by going into 3, 2, or 1-prize attackers on whichever turn you need to, so you can try and make it as awkward for your opponent to take 6 prizes as possible.
That's true, and another good thing about Drampa is that with lots of decks moving to Great Catcher instead of Custom Catcher, there's a good chance that this Drampa can just sit on the bench and wait for its perfect moment to come out and take a couple of prizes. It's perfect for killing Dedenne, obviously good for Keldeo. It's a good late game and mid game card. As soon as it's been powered up, it's going to take knockouts for you. We have one last Pokemon in the list, and that is a copy of the new Phione with Whirlpool Suction, which means that if the Pokemon is on the bench, then we can have our opponent switch their active with one of their benched Pokemon, and then we put the Phione back on the bottom of our deck. This is a really, really good way to be able to force decks like Pidgeotto Control or Florges to switch their active Pokédoll out and put something into the active that we can knock out. That's going to be the way that we're going to try and win those matchups, but it can also potentially put your opponent in a position where there is literally nothing that they can stall you with. You could potentially find yourself in a checkmate position where the Phione just wins you the game.
Yeah, in a deck like this where you can take an extra prize each turn, a lot of the time it would be ideal for you to take out like one tag team, for example, take 4 prizes, and then just a non-GX for 2 prizes is really easy way to win the game. And if we don't have the Phione, there's actually no way for us to gust up our opponent's non-GXs in this deck, because typically ADP lists at the moment aren't playing Custom Catcher, they're only running Great Catcher, which is probably fair, but
yep, that's reasonable.
Phione does give us that potential to potentially gust up a non-GX if we force our opponent to. And also another matchup that is really useful in actually is recent builds of that new Baby Blacephalon Birds deck, which has been seeing play with Pokédolls. That's actually a pretty tough matchup if they get those Pokédolls out at the right time. But if you can gust the doll to the bench and take 2 prizes in a turn where they're struggling to set up, that's easily just the kind of play that will swing the game into your favor.
It certainly will. So Phione, a really, really strong card in this list as well. We spent a long time talking about Pokemon, so let's quickly talk about some supporters. This one's going to be really easy. Like we said before, this list does not play Ends Resolve, so we are simply playing 4 copies of Cynthia, 3 copies of Cynthia and Caitlin in order to discard cards and put supporters back into our hand, and 2 copies of Mallow and Lana in order to discard cards and retreat onto the bench whilst healing our active. With Cynthia and Caitlin, we are potentially going to be able to see 5 Mallow and Lanas if we choose, but of course the key thing is that they can be searched with 2 copies of Tag Call. They're going to be the things that not only get our Pokemon out of the active, but help the fact that we're so tanky and really push our opponent to hit 3 hits on our Pokemon rather than just 2.
Yeah, Tag Call is definitely a pretty strong card in this deck. It's a little unfortunate that it only plays 2 copies. A third would have been nice, but the Tag Call definitely is going to give us access to draw with our Cynthia and Caitlin, and honestly, most of our matchups are kind of dependent on whether we get Lana or Mallow at the right time, or Mallow and Lana, I think it's called actually.
Yeah, Mallow and Lana.
Yep. We can get that at the right time in most matchups on a crucial turn where our opponent's gotten a half hit and is trying to get a cheeky KO on an ADP. If you hit Mallow and Lana at the right time, that's pretty much going to be the game, because this deck wins games very quickly once you start trading. And the other last thing that's really good about Tag Call, which we're about to talk about in a second, is it allows us to search for extra Pokemon to communicate away with Pokemon Communication, and that's going to be our main search card for all of these non-GX techs that we play on the list.
It certainly is, and like there's going to be matchups where we don't need Lucario and Metal, we don't need the Lopunny and Jigglypuff, so Pokemon Communication and Tag Call gives us a free search for anything that we want. We're going to be looking for things like Zeb Striker line, or even our Fion. We could find Keldeo or Dedenne. There's lots of Pokemon that we can look for, and with Tag Call, we're kind of playing, it's like we're playing 18 Pokemon instead of 16. Gives us those extra cards in order to find the things we need. Obviously, we're playing Jirachi, so we're going to be playing a 3 switch and 2 escape board retreat engine. This is super common when you're playing with Jirachi, just to give yourself the most outs to find the things that you need. So I don't think we need to talk too much about that. But one thing that I would like to talk about is the 2 copies of Choice Helmet that are in this list. Like I mentioned before, we're going to be trying to tank lots of hits from our opponent, and Choice Helmet gives us the opportunity to do that. We can get hit by something, maybe a Charizard breaks in for 180 damage. That's going to get reduced down to 150. We can then heal most of that off with Mallow and Lana, and now that is only doing, 30 damage per time that Charizard breaks in's attacking? That seems really inefficient.
Yeah, you can very easily wall a lot of decks with the combination of Choice Helmet and Mallow Lana. Effectively denying your opponent 150 damage is insane. Obviously, it only works against GX Pokemon, but most of the Pokemon that you'll be needing to heal against are going to be GX Pokemon, because the best non-GX deck in the format right now is probably that Baby Blacephalon, which is probably going to be taking one-hit KOs against you anyway. And the one thing I really like about Choice Helmet personally is against the Perfection Mewtwo matchup, they are probably going to be wanting to try and find their Charizard GX to use Flare Blitz to knock out one of your ADPs, but if you've got a Choice Helmet on there, Mewtwo actually can't take a one-hit KO on ADP realistically at all. Like, maybe with Makago or something like that, they could kill you, but this kind of makes your ADP immune to being one-hit carried by a Mewtwo, which is really strong.
Yeah, the Mewtwo has to hit you twice, and that is a big deal. It's something that lots of decks really struggle with, and now ADP can get around it. We've got a couple of other cards that we're going to talk about. We've got 1 copy of Reset Stamp. Like you were mentioning before, Jordan, we can force our opponent down to specific numbers of prizes, so Reset Stamp is going to be really strong for us in that regard. And since we're not playing Ends Resolve, we're not worried about the 1 copy getting discarded, so now we can fit it potentially in the list. I know we were talking about before when we were playing with Ends Resolve that Reset Stamp kind of felt like one of those cards that we would rather replace with something to increase consistency, but now we don't have to discard. 1 Reset Stamp seems pretty fine.
Yeah, 1 is definitely fine, and it works really well in this deck, as you mentioned, where you've got the different prize options that you can force your opponent into. I definitely wouldn't be upset to see a second one, just because it is very powerful in this deck, especially since our stadium of choice is that Chaos Swell, so that we can kind of deny our opponent some stadium cards that they want to use to set up, such as Viridian Forest or Giant Half. So using Stamp plus Chaos Swell against some Welder decks is going to make it really hard for them to recover, especially since we've got a full 4 count of Chaos Swell, which is pretty high overall. I think most lists were playing 3, but Giovanni chose to go with the 4 count here, and that is perfectly respectable because it's a very powerful card.
It certainly is, and it really reduces the ability of decks that are relying on Power Plant to get around Keldeo. You can potentially, in the right situation, find yourself with a board state that is 1 single Keldeo and a whole bunch of Chaotic Swells, and if they can't replace the Chaotic Swell, then that's going to be it. That Keldeo's living forever. So it's definitely worth a look. And then finally for our items, we have 2 copies of Great Catcher. Not only do we have Fion to be able to access the bench, we also have Great Catcher. We can discard 2 in order to get ourselves a knockout on anything we like. The best thing about 2 Great Catcher in this list is that if ever our opponent plays down 2 Dedenne, that's the game. We can just gust them up and kill them, and that will be easy peasy. So Great Catcher at a 2 count seems fair. Again, I've played with 3. I like 3. I think it's really good, but 2 is definitely all that we need to play.
Yeah, I've played 3 as well, but also that was when we were testing with that Ends Resolve engine of the deck, so you kind of went into the game knowing you were going to need 2 gusts a game, so you're like, I'll play 3 so that if I prize one, or if one gets discarded off of End's Resolve, then I'm still going to be able to use the 2 I need to win the game. And you're not always going to need to, obviously, but there's definitely been games where I've been playing ADP, and I'm like, well, my opponent's got a really strong tag team that I'm probably not going to be able to deal with. I'm going to lose in like 3 turns. But hey, I've got an ADP active and I'm holding 2 great catchers, so I'm just going to kill your 2 Dedenates for the game before you can win.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a really strong strategy.
That seems like a perfectly legitimate one. Looking at the energy count, and we were discussing before we started recording, Jordan, that this is very high. We've got 7 copies of metal and 8 copies of water. That's kind of like the amount that we were playing when we were playing End's Resolve. Obviously, Giovanni really banking on hitting those energies at the right time, and it is important that you get 1 metal and 1 water early. So that's completely reasonable to see such a high count, but you know, there's like Baby Blacephalon with Welder is playing less at the moment, so it's a very high count of energy with 15.
It's definitely higher than I would probably personally go to. I feel like you could cut at least 1, maybe 2, and the deck would still function fine. But you're 100% correct in saying this deck, if you're not drawing energy, just doesn't do anything. Like if you miss an energy for even 1 turn in this deck, you're potentially far enough behind that you're just going to straight lose the game. And that's a pretty big deal and a pretty good reason to run such a high energy count, especially when you're playing as close to even split as possible with 15 energy, meaning you're going to hopefully have access to the 2 different types that you need over the first 2 turns. And when you're not playing N, yes, it's true that you're not going to need as many energy, but you're also not going to be able to find them as easily. So if you are going to cut them, I probably wouldn't go like less than 1 or 2 more being cut before the deck starts to brick a bit. But if you are wanting to add a couple extra cards, then that's probably where I personally would be looking at space first of all.
Yeah, exactly. And we have to remember, of course, we can get extra cards with Zeb Striker and Dedenne and stuff. We can find them, but yeah, obviously treating it with a lot of respect, giving us the opportunity to be consistent is the most important thing. So we'll take this one onto the ladder. Jordan, you and I will play through a couple of games. Hopefully we can hit some good opponents here rather than some dodgy ones, but that's okay. ADP kind of thrives on those one prize kind of decks, so you never know. Looks like we've got some Psychic, Dark, and Steel here. This could be literally anything.
Sure could. And another thing for us to keep in mind when we're talking about this list, for us personally, we're about to play this deck. We're playing 2, maybe 3 at most best of 1 games against random people on the ladder. Giovanni, who piloted this deck at the International Championship, went in knowing I'm going to be playing 15 plus best of 3 games at an International Championship. So I understand why he chose to make those safe calls where he's like, I'm just going to play those couple extra energy, just make sure every single turn of every game I'm attaching energy at a big 15-round tournament where I'm going to be playing like up to 50 games of Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to be very, very careful that this is such a horrific situation to be. We're about to lose 2 Pokemon communications here, Jordan. I don't even want to attach.
We could play one of them, but we're going to be using the Dedenne, right? So we're going to want to find an Arceus Dialga Palkia to attach to. So yeah, this looks like just a strategy change to me.
Well, and do you know what the worst bit is? The Absol's in play, so we're about to lose 2 of our switches as well, but...
Yep, it is rough.
That's
we're actually versing a Dusknoir and Trevenant tag team, I believe, on the bench there, which is kind of a disruptive card that's starting to see a bit of play here and there. So that's definitely a card where I would want to... a matchup, sorry, where I would want to have some of those safety cards in my deck, like the switches and the Pokemon communications, but we're going to be running without them in this game, so...
we are in lots of strife. I'm going to play these 2 cards.
We were just saying about missing energy,
yeah,
and
it's important. It's really bad.
We better draw one for these 3 cards.
Yeah, I'm thinking... I'm thinking that we might grab something to thin out here. What are we going to get rid of?
I would say grab the Malolana, but we've already got a switch in our hand, which is the main reason I'd be wanting to take that, so it's probably best to save that in that deck, maybe just thin out 2 of our tag team Pokemon to give us the best chances of drawing a single energy card off of the Cynthia and Caitlyn.
Yeah, we'll see how we go.
In a matchup like this, where we've already had to burn some resources, the way we're going to win this game is through pure aggression and trying to win the game before our opponent's able to do too much. So we're going to have to find these energy, and there we go. We've got all the cards in hand we need for the turn 2 Ultra Creation GX. Only thing we're missing is draw, but we don't really need to draw cards next turn at least. Maybe the turn after we'll be looking for something, but for now, a respectable turn 1.
It's acceptable. We got the energy attachment. We're going to give ourselves 2 more top decks in order to find either another energy or another Pokemon. We're okay. The 2 energy off of that Cynthia and Caitlyn was unbelievably lucky. I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, I feel like we should not be bagging the energy count in this list
No.
anymore.
15's good. 15's good. I'm just
And
gonna...
we did also have to discard, I believe, just one off of the Dedenne, so we did only have 14 to work with. There's probably a couple prized, so yeah, I guess having those extra energy in the deck's going to help out a bit. Jirachi is a pretty interesting top deck here. I don't think we're going to be able to go into it with this hand, but it could be something that'll end up saving us in the next few turns if we're lucky.
Yeah, I think we just need to switch here and go for the Altered Creation. I don't think there's anything else that we can realistically do.
Yeah, unfortunately, our opponent does have that Absol in play, so Jirachi, especially with all the switches in our discard pile now, is not going to be a very powerful card to go into, considering a skateboard is effectively dead. So hopefully we won't need to take use of that Jirachi, but at least we've got it just in case.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Now you can actually see my face. I've turned a light on. It got suddenly very dark. I was spending the entire time before the video, Jordan, trying to figure out how I was going to... Like, the light was too bright, and I was like, oh, I've got to prop stuff up against the window to try and get the light down. But nope, now it's too dark. So, beautiful. We can see... this is the Trevenant Dust one. That's whilst our opponent's playing their turn here. Let's actually look at it, because it's not something that we've talked about too much on the channel. We are going to talk about it soon. 3 Psychic Energy Night Watch, 150. Choose 2 cards from your opponent's hand, then they shuffle them back into the deck, and then Pale Moon at the end of... Oh no, that was the
GX attack.
That was the GX turn. At the end of the opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon will be knocked out. If this Pokemon has at least one extra Psychic, then discard all energy. So we are screwed, Jordan.
Well, you know, it'd be nice if we had one of those 3 switches that we were forced to discard. Well, I guess we did play one of them, but yeah, that ADP is knocked out effectively, so we may as well abandon that and maybe start powering up something else. At least we got the GX attack off, but hey, this is one of the situations where we might be wishing we had ends in our deck.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like we've got like so few options. I think Mega Lopunny is literally the best chance we've got here. Because
Mega Lopunny, hope that they bench more GX Pokemon.
Well, not even that. Drampa's just going to get knocked out. I think we just have to do this.
Well, it is doing 150 face that GX attack, and that is at least a 2-hit KO. And honestly, that's going to be fine. Like, as long as it's getting a 2-hit, we can't expect for a 1-hit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I'm going to leave that there.
Sacrifice a couple prize cards here. That is a really bad hand to be caught on when our opponent goes for that GX. If we had a supporter or just any way to search for cards, maybe we could have pulled off a Mallow and Lana. Moving the ADP to the bench would have meant that we could at least remove the effect of that GX attack, but still lose all the energy. But yeah, we're going to effectively be going down 4 prizes this turn. That is so bad.
Yeah, this seems like it's pretty good. It seems like we're going to get absolutely crippled here by this. Maybe we should move. We should move this Malamar up the list a little bit. This seems pretty good. Our start was not great, but...
Our start was really bad. We had to discard a whole bunch of really important resources. So I don't think this is a very accurate depiction of this matchup, but hey, when your opponent gets a turn 2 Trevenant off, you need to hope that you've got a pretty good hand, or you're going to very quickly lose the game.
Yeah, we probably should have benched the Jirachi there as well. I made a mistake in doing that, but that's okay. I didn't quite realise the way that GX attack was going to work.
Well, yeah, that was my first time kind of encountering it as well. And to be fair, even if we did use the Jirachi here, as we mentioned, that we're kind of out of switch effects, so a skateboard plus that Absol is going to make it really awkward to take advantage of Jirachi. And hey, it's gone from our hand now anyway.
Yeah, it's gone. All right, so now, let's just do this.
Now we catch a choice band and scoop. Choice helmet and scoop, something along those lines.
Yep.
We could put them to sleep if we're feeling ambitious, but I don't see how that's going to help.
We can't. We've already GX'd, Jordan. It's over.
Oh yeah, we have already GX'd.
That game is over.
That ADP died so quickly that I forgot that it even got to do anything.
Oh my god. Alright, so I need to start looking for some Trevenant, whatever it's called. Trevenant Dusknoir, is that what it was? I can't remember.
That's the one.
That was painful.
Alright, well we're not versing another Trevenant Dusknoir, luckily.
No, this one looks more...
a bit of a better start as well.
This looks more like an abilities art or something like that.
Yeah, we did get a decent turn 2, but the turn 1 and every turn after turn 2 was horrendous.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It was basically
yeah, bad. Alright, let's have a look here. This looks significantly better. Significantly better. We've got 3 energy. We've got 4 energy.
4 energy. Well, we're probably going to discard one off of the Cynthia and Caitlin
I feel like that's probably the way to go here. We'll discard a Metal Energy here, and we will draw 3 cards. Alright, what do we got? What do we got? We could,
Pokemon communication with Fiona isn't decent. I think all we really need to do this turn is bench the ADP,
Yep,
attach metal, see what we get off Stellar Wish, and then maybe hold on to that Pokemon communication depending on what we get. Skateboard and Cynthia Caitlin are both pretty good picks here.
I feel like a Skateboard's the strongest. I think that's the one.
We can always use Pokemon communication on Fiona to get ourselves into Danae if we're needing to be in a tough spot next turn. But yeah, we don't even know the matchup yet, so I guess we just...
I'm suspecting Mew Mew here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play the Choice Helmet down here first and then save the Skateboard.
Yeah, I was about to say that's pretty much the only card in our hand that I'd consider playing is that Choice Helmet onto the bench. Depending on the matchup, it is theoretically possible that they could pull off an attack onto our ADP on the bench there turn 1. I don't think it's going to happen, even if they are playing Mew Mew. Oh my god, is that just a pass?
Oh my word. Okay, well now it's...
We're playing End Resolve, right?
Now I know, right? We can win. Is there any way that we can actually win?
No, we can not attack for 1 energy attachment for damage, except for that Fiona in a hand which we could use to do 10 damage. Honestly though, Ultra Creation GX here, pretty strong. I'm not going to be complaining about it.
Oh yeah, no, it's fine. I think I just grabbed Malolana.
Yeah, take Malolana, or even just hold on to this hand. There's nothing else we need to find this turn. We just retreat into ADP.
And then just GX.
Play the GX attack. We've got as I said, we've still got that Pokemon communication in our hand if we need to find a Dene, or if we choose to power up a different attacker, we could do that. If we're expecting a Mewtwo from our opponent, then potentially we could go into Keldeo, but nope, our opponent does absolutely nothing. Let's attack number 3.
Yep, we'll give it one more go. Hopefully we find something worth viewing. Yeah, that was kind of awkward. That's alright, we'll see what happens here.
We were able to show off that the list was able to consistently pull off turn 2 Ultra Creation at least, which is exactly what you're aiming to do with this deck. Even when we got that awful turn 1 start in the last game, we were still able to pull off that turn 2 Ultra Creation, which is really important. In that game, it was really easy to do. We literally basically opened without our opening hand. Let's see if we get a 3 for 3.
We'll see how we go. Hopefully we actually get to see a game that is worth playing, though. Yeah, no, I'm still reeling from that Trevenant, man. I can't even. I never read the card. I never understood what was going on. They discarded my energy, and I was like, oh, that's bad. And then, oh, they knocked me out, and I'm like, okay, there's nothing to do.
Yeah, and that's exactly why that discussion that a lot of people have been having of do we play N or do we not play N in ADP, there's definitely pros and cons. Like, I really like the way this list functions and works. It feels like it's pretty safe. But you got to keep in mind that when things go really poorly, that End Resolve is definitely going to be your catch-up card in matchups where you just get knocked out, you have your energy removed. It's going to be almost impossible to come back from those matchups if you don't have access to End. So yeah, definitely still a card to consider. But for right now, this list looks pretty good, I'd say.
Oh my god, we're just starting Drampa left, right, and center.
This hand's even worse than both of the other two combined.
Horrific. This is Pokemon Online for you, ladies and gentlemen. If you're enjoying this content, then you're a psychopath. We're playing Blacephalon as well, so they're gonna punish us really hard for starting poorly as well, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, the viewers are here to see us rip the insane top deck of I don't know, a Cynthia or something. That'd be pretty good. Honestly, any Pokemon gets us into Dene.
Any card.
There's a lot of good things we can get here, but there's also a lot of bad things that we can get that effectively mean we instantly get docked. So let's that doesn't happen.
I mean, literally any card that doesn't draw us cards means that we've already lost. They've already got the cards on board to win the game. So even if we play the choice and went down, it just needs that we need to get some, and we lose.
Alright, so we're going to game 4 then, I think.
Cool! What a video! We are really kicking off here.
Yeah, we got docked, and we docked someone within about 2 minutes. So that's interesting.
Oh
my god! That was a best of 3. This would be a very quick set.
Well, this is a record for the channel. I don't think we've ever played 4 games in a deck profile before. We're just like, yep, scoop, win, scoop. Okay,
Let's
good
go
game.
For the record.
Let's see how we go.
Might even get 5 in at this rate.
Hey, listen, if it takes the 30 seconds that we've had the last 2, then we could play 10 games and we still wouldn't go for 40 minutes.
Alright, we're versing Cool Man 217 here. I've got high hopes for this match.
Give us a game, Cool Man. Be great.
A Glass and Flackic deck, so could still be that Trevenant Dusknoir. I don't think so, but
I hope not.
I'm not sure what to expect here from that type of
we got a Jirachi, which is important.
got a Jirachi, we've got a Cynthia. This is looking good. Let's see what our opponent's playing. They're going to show us a mulligan, so we'll at least get a bit of an idea of what the matchup is. We see
Buzzmosa. This is Buzzmosa.
Yeah, that makes me think of Buzzmosa when I think of a grass-type Ultra Beast. That's pretty much the only one in the format, I think. Either, like, besides the non-GX Buzzwole, etc. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting matchup. I don't know how this one's going to go, but I don't think it's going to be terrible.
It's going to be interesting for sure. I feel like we grab those two. It doesn't really matter too much.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we just end up Synthiaing this hand away anyway. So
yeah, exactly. We just want to get the attachment there.
We could play the Cynthia Caitlyn as well, but either way is fine, I think.
Cynthia. There's nothing in our hand that we realistically want to keep. We want to give ourselves the best chance to find these cards, which we managed to find, so that's good.
Exactly those two, and we haven't even used Stellarish yet.
Oh, look at that. We could even use a switch into a Jirachi if you'd like, Jordan. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think that's not bad, although we don't really need anything, but it's kind of free, right?
I think so. I think it's free, and the best thing is it thins out cards as well, so... Because we are almost certainly going to get Misdreavus into Stamp here, so...
Yeah. So Cowspell as well. I don't know what stadium card our opponent's going to be playing, but I think considering we're playing 4 stadiums in our list, it's always a pretty strong idea to go ahead and put that Chaos Wall down on the first turn, deny our opponent from getting consistency stadiums to help themselves set up, like Breeding Forest.
I don't care what stadium our opponent's playing, because they're not going to play it.
Yeah, pretty much.
They're not playing it, so... And it was Buzzmosa, there it is. So this will be interesting. This will actually be a legitimately interesting game. Because I've got no idea how this is going to go.
They have access to snipe attacks with their Jet Punch, so Jirachis could be some weak targets for our opponent, but luckily they are 70 HP Pokemon, not 60 HP Pokemon, so I don't think we have anything too bad to worry about there. I'd be more worried about them.
What they could actually do is they could use Beast Energy and Beastite in order to do 70 damage to this Jirachi in the active, so they could knock it out, couldn't they?
Does Beastite do...
is it 10 base, or is it only prizes?
I think it's 10 for each prize.
Okay, so forget that. Don't worry about it.
But hey, if they...
they're going to give us a prize.
Yeah.
They're going to give us a prize. I was right. They're going to do it. There goes
probably,
the Ultra Forest card.
Yeah, a lot of interesting cards here. That means that we do have to be careful about Keldeo. Keldeo is not going to be a safe Pokemon to go into in this matchup because our opponent can just play that Ultra Forest card and Void go through our Keldeo and hit it for weakness. So that'll be an easy 2 prize cards for our opponent. Looks like no attack. Wait, did they just not attack?
They just didn't attack. All right, cool, easy.
Okay.
Thanks, mate.
Sure.
Appreciate.
Might have been a misclick, or maybe they've got some sort of unique strategy where they don't want our board to have damage on it. But I'll take it for now.
I'm thinking... Actually, no, instead of Switch, let's get this Choice Helmet. Because this Pheromosa Buzzwole is not going to be doing damage for a while. That's just...
Yeah, is there anything else we need to play this turn? I don't think so. I think I'd be happy to retreat and GX. Once again, we're holding that Pokemon communication with the Theone if we want to find ourselves a Zeb Striker or a Dedenne next turn. We've also got the Tag Call to find either our Malolana if we get hit by a strong move, or our Cynthia Caitlyn. Got lots of options with this hand, but most importantly, next turn we want to find an energy card. That's all we need.
Yep, 1 energy. So Pokecom is going to find us some cards, which is going to be good, but yeah, this Jet Punch is not going to do anything. So I'm really happy about that. That's good.
Yeah, it's definitely an early Lieutenant Surge from our opponent. This does remind me a little bit about that Nagalord deck that made top 8 at the Brazil International. So if our opponent pulls off a second Misdreavus here into Mismagius, which it looks like they're greensed for, then we could be seeing a turn 2 Beastring here, which will be putting on a bit of pressure. So we might end up needing to go for that Malolana after all.
Yeah, we'll see how we go. Malolana wouldn't be a bad option, but hey, we're winning.
Yeah, we're taking 2 prizes.
We just need to knock out one of these.
And there's the Beastring. So yeah, they're going to start applying pressure here. I believe it does 160 damage. Elegant Soul. 190. That's even more than I thought. And it does 60 damage next turn, but I'm sure they'll be able to find a way to get around that. Double Beastring from our opponent.
That seems pretty strong.
This is scary.
This is pretty strong, and they're getting the Surge for next turn as well. We need an Energy and a Pokemon in order to get us going. So we've got the Pokemon. We've got the Energy. There we go.
We've got everything we need. We can tag call for an attacker and a Malolana, which is basically the only 2 cards that we were looking for here. Yeah, the question is, do we want to go into the Megalopunny, and Jigglypuff, if our opponent benches one more GX Pokemon, then that card will be super insane in this matchup. But I don't know if they're going to do that. It might be safer to just go for the ADP here.
I think we just get the other ADP, because, I mean, the Lucario Melmetal's not going to do it. We may as well just get an ADP. This seems fine.
I would also be tempted to go for the Keldeo, because we know that they've got... Oh, wow, we just win the game again. What is going on here?
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's going to be it. If you play ADP, you will either get donked, or your opponent will scoop. So...
Turn 2 Ultra Creation's pretty scary. I know I don't like to deal with it, so obviously our opponents don't like to either.
Jeez, well, it's a bit of a shame, because I actually wanted to play a game with this deck, but we've given it 4 chances, and it still didn't work out, so... I guess we'll just leave it there. I think the deck's really good. There's still obviously room for improvement, but we've got Brisbane regionals in 2 weeks, Jordan. So this is definitely a potential play for that tournament.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the big decks going into that tournament. I think I'd expect a lot of people to feel pretty confident about ADP's chances in that event. A lot of people choose this as kind of a safe pick because it feels like it can deal with just about anything in the format, and it can also get donked.
Yep, it can. It can just lose, so don't do that. Just win instead, just win. But anyway, thanks, Jordan, for coming along.
Not a problem.
Thanks, everyone, for watching. We've had a couple of days off. Hopefully we're back to a video a day, but don't be surprised if it falls down a little bit around the next couple of weeks because of Brisbane Regionals. Hopefully we can keep up the content. If you like it, then consider subscribing. Click the sable eye in the middle of the screen right now. On the left-hand side, we've got some videos that YouTube thinks you'll like, and on the right, we have more games from our Cosmic Eclipse deck list and profile playlist. Thanks, everyone, for coming along, and we'll see you all next time for more from the Sable Eyes. Bye.